not being with too many people, jobs should not have any kind of distraction such as intense light or noise. Sensitivity to light and sound are other traits of Asperger syndrome. For example, I get annoyed when the maintenance crew comes to my department with their loud machines, or when I hear walkie-talkie static. With the uniqueness of Asperger syndrome, and unlike most other syndromes, we do not require medications or treatments of any kind. However, people have unnecessarily sought medications for people with Asperger syndrome. Intelligence testing is a better approach in favor of treatment. Intelligence quotient tests tend to vary greatly among people with autistic spectrum disorders. A test that can be taken by us is the WAIS-R test, which is the Wechsler Adult Intelligence Scale Revised. There are both low-functioning and high-functioning people with the syndrome, so it is important to find out where on the scale the person falls. More importantly, most of us do not want to change the way we are because of our uniqueness. I have this syndrome, and I believe that it is a special and unique syndrome. I learned to read and write when I was 3, and my parents and other people knew I was highly intelligent. I also had extensive knowledge of topics such as geography and astronomy, and even knew certain things that some college students are not expected to know. I joined the gifted program in 4th grade, and was in it until high school, where there was no gifted program. I began to realize I was different when I was around 10. My characteristics include odd behavior, social seclusion, absence of vicarious emotion, social inactivity, motor clumsiness, narrow-focused obsessions, monotonic speech, daily routines, and poor eye contact. My math score on the SAT test was much higher than my verbal score, with a difference of about 800 points. I was diagnosed with Asperger syndrome just before I turned 18, on February of 1997. When I read about the syndrome just before the diagnosis, I was very certain that this is what I had. This may seem like a rather tragic discovery to some people, but on the contrary, I was very glad to finally know how and why I was different from most everyone else in society. There are both negative and positive sides to having the sociological disorder known as Asperger syndrome. The negative points are explained above, not to mention aggressive reactions toward people who oppose or hate my interests, which is another one of my negative characteristics. The positive points would be that I have a rather high IQ, and I could very possibly use my primary area of interest, which is the study of small mammals, in today's society in the near future. I can tell people what species of squirrel inhabits any given country or region in the world with little or no hesitation. Secondary interests that I have are science fiction and languages, in which I also have great knowledge. My previous interests that I had back in elementary and middle school were mostly space-related topics, for example, astronomy, science fiction, extraterrestrial life, etc. I was also interested in rodents in general, and exotic fruits. When I was in 5th and 6th grades, I would spend almost all my money on kiwis, mangoes, papayas, and passion fruits to eat, mainly to curiously see what they taste like, and I would continue buying more of the ones that tasted best to me. I have always liked to combine my interests, such as writing stories about rodents visiting imaginary planets that orbit actual stars, such as Alpha Centauri. Aside from having several fascinations in the past, I am able to do rather well academically in subjects that do not necessarily pertain to my interests. This is probably due to the fact that I have little or no distractions from social anxiety. My need to know is quite intense, which helps me in my academic functions. I have been able to function in a college environment and can contribute to an opportunity to excel in the future. The best way for me to live independently is by having organized routines. I am able to adapt better to society by organizing routines and schedules. This way I can communicate with other people to try to understand them more, and vice versa. I often have difficulty understanding why people do the things they do, and they often have difficulty understanding why I do what I do. Some people with Asperger syndrome, including me, often feel like an anthropologist on Mars. It is important that my job be an area that does not have too much social contact or too much light or noise. as I am sensitive to certain light or sounds, which are other Asperger Syndrome traits. A job in zoology, studying and conducting research on small mammals, would be a perfect job for me. I have recently obtained a volunteer position at the local zoo, which is a good start. Organized routines will also help me, along with other people with Asperger Syndrome, to have an excellent career in the area of our interests. In conclusion, even close family members do not fully understand the syndrome. Sometimes when I come up with an idea or opinion contrary to the opinions of my family members, they assume other people have told me things. This ultra-social mindset some people have automatically assumes that ideas and opinions come directly from peers or friends. On the contrary, due to my lack of social interaction, this is not the case. My ideas and opinions are based on my own solitary research and intuitive skills, positive traits of Asperger syndrome.